Daniel is in Surrey. What do you think, Dan? Afternoon to you.
I think mass immigration is and has ruined Britain. I think it's absolutely ruining our country. I look at the country I'm in today, and I look at back when I was a kid. I used to get in the car with my dad on a Saturday or a Sunday morning, and the roads were empty, and now there's people everywhere. You know, we've had, I think in the past 10 years, about 7 or 8 million people coming to Britain. I mean, it's just in every capacity. When people come to the UK for a better life, they're making the people that are already here's lives worse. And if you have to build a city the size of Birmingham every year, and you need, I don't know, exponentially more doctors, more school places, you know, it's untenable. It can't continue. And whether you're on the left or the right, just looking at the data, looking at the information, it is ruining our country. One of the main contributing factors at the moment why nothing works is the fact that there are so many people after everything. You know, I mean, I'm not even... Illegal immigration obviously should be stopped completely. I don't even want people from Iraq or Iran. Listen, most of the world, 3/4 of the globe, or half the globe, is a terrible place to live. Why should it be okay that they come and live here instead?
Well, I guess and I don't say this as a defence of that point, because I completely understand why you make that point, but of course, if you looked at it across the globe, you mentioned the globe, then we would be seen as quite way down the list. This doesn't answer overall your point, because you might say I don't care where we are on the list, but you know, in terms of what France take, or Germany or Italy or Spain, they take far more people from those countries than we do. And the theory has always gone that when it comes to refugees, if that's the word we want to use, then everybody plays their part. There's no other way to run a civilised world. That seems to be the answer, Dan.
Ian, it doesn't, though, because most of the population are right of centre. Most of the population, a little bit of immigration is great, because everyone can rub along and people tend to absorb and go into the mass population, join in. Multiculturalism is a lie. It's a multiracial society. Did you agree to give up your culture?
It's absolutely a lie. Yes, it's a complete lie. Yeah, and as I said, as that Lisa just said in that text that you might have heard, you essentially just have people living side by side but totally separately, and that surely wasn't the dream of those that wanted the system.
Yeah, nobody agreed to give up our native culture in Britain. We didn't, right? But we've had this forced down our throats. Yeah. I've told you before, in 1951, 99% of the population were white, broadly Christian, and spoke English as a first language. Yet, in less than one man's lifetime, we've had this society forced down our throats, and people don't want it. We've told the government time and time again, we voted for Brexit, we've done numerous things to give the government explicit instructions that we want this stopped.
There is, of course, I mean, you know, it's quite a seductive headline you gave there, but of course, you know, many people would say, well, hang on, you know, the world, in the time scale that you've just referenced, the world has changed in lots of other ways as well. People move around. The human story was always going to get to this point in the 21st century where people started upping sticks and going to live elsewhere, exploring other opportunities. As industries open, you require labour and expertise from other parts of the globe, etc. So it was never going to, taking immigration out of it, it was never going to immigration in the conventional sense, or the sense of it being a problem. There was always going to be a change in how societies looked by this stage in our journey.
Yeah, but what did we do? Did we, A, select people that had the skills and enough money in the bank that we needed to enhance our society? Or did we just allow people just to turn up on our shores, 44,000 a year? No, we haven't managed it at all. We haven't managed it at all. And this is why, even if you were a black family and you came here in the 50s, right, and you looked at the country that your family moved to for a better life, you'd now be thinking the same as the white population. Oh my God, things have got really
I think you're right. I don't think it's a black and white thing, because many of the people, I mean, Windrush is the obvious example. People who came from that generation came because they did assimilate. They came because they did, you know, they had similar values. They had similar cultural systems. They were people from very similar backgrounds, albeit from another part of the world.
Well, that's exactly the point I'm making. If you were a black family and you looked at London now compared to when you moved here, it's more violent. It's a much worse place, and one of the biggest contributing factors is mass immigration. We've allowed FGM, honour killing, sham marriage, suicide bombing, the Full Veil, grooming gangs, all under our noses. No one's lifted a finger, and the people have had enough, and we've had enough for a long time, and we've been telling the powers that be that we've had enough, and nothing has been done. And at the next general election, the Conservative Party, I know it leads to an SNP and Labour government, which is kind of like a fate worse than death, right? But the Conservative Party have lost their way. They're not Conservative anymore, and they've stopped listening to the bulk of the population.
And do you know what? I wonder whether the Conservative Party down have ever dealt with this problem, because it's never been dealt with in my lifetime when they've been in office. Years before that, of course, the problem didn't exist. So I don't think they've ever really, if the truth be known. It's not as if there was a heyday of Conservative values when they did deal with this. I don't think they ever have. Dan, thank you very much indeed. Simon is in Basingstoke. What do you got for us, Simon? Afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Ian. Well, I'd just like to praise your previous caller. The only thing I disagree with him the only matter I disagree with him on is the issue that there are people who are in favour of this. Left-wing parties are in favour because they think that they're importing future voters, and so-called conservative parties like to import cheap labour. My girlfriend is Italian. Her first job was working in a hotel in the UK about 7 years ago. Yeah. She was paid £3 an hour with no holiday entitlement, which is totally illegal. And that's very, very common. And that's a person with a degree in languages. So the system is being abused. I would not trust the Rishi Sunak government as far as I could throw this country on this issue, or the Conservative Party. I certainly wouldn't trust the Labour Party to deal with it, despite the comforting noises they make. In fact, I think it's far more likely that what you'll see happen once the Labour Party are in power with a large majority, that they will change the status of those with leave to remain in this country, which is in the millions, and will grant them automatic citizenship after a period of time. The only way to stop this is to leave the 1951 UN Refugee Convention, which can literally be done by our ambassador standing up in the UN and saying we are leaving. We are leaving, yeah. And then what we do after that is we have a British definition of what a refugee is, and we apply that law ourselves. With respect to the boats, if you can tow, the Australian Navy would tow boats right all the way back to Indonesia, hundreds, if not thousands of miles, to return Indonesian refugees, and that is why Australia does not have a refugee problem. I see no reason why you cannot tow boats 25 miles. You identify the boat, you take it in tow, and you tow it back.
I get that, because they're not French refugees. That's the difference, isn't it? That would be the France would go, hang on a second, look, we didn't ask for this problem either. So these are people that come here, but then they come to you. So that's a joint issue. So you have to solve it between. That would be the French answer. That's what Monsieur Macron, I think, would say. Simon, thank you.